Console gaming doesn't suck. PCMR does.
Turn on the console. Let's escape to a new world. In pixelated realms, emotions swirl.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard this from me many times, and you'll hear it from me again and again and again. Getting old sucks. Especially as you keep being reminded of your creeping decrepitude as you get older. You're 1 minute you're 20, then you blink and you're me. Like, woo! As if the glasses over other glasses and the gray triangle didn't hint at it enough. Should just grab some more hair dye for that. As if that wasn't enough of a hint, I've been a PC gamer for a quarter century. Yeah. So what am I here today saying nice things about consoles for? Isn't that like the rule that if you're a PC gamer, you gotta, be like PCMR and console peasants and blah, 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 blah? Well, no. First of all, I hate PCMR. The whole PC master race thing is stupid. Don't drag PC gaming through the mud with Nazi references. I mean, that's the sort of stupid, angry crap that could only exist on the internet. It's stupid, doesn't make any sense, but you will find it on the internet. That's the way it's been for a generation. Whatever. So, here's the thing, though. Console gaming in the 2020s is radically different than what I've been seeing since I've been a PC gamer over these past 25 years. So this is my Xbox Series X here. You've been hearing me on my posts and stuff saying nice things about it. Now that I'm actually playing it quite a bit, I got my Game Pass subscription going again, and I've been discovering the wonderful world of playing the underdog console with Game Pass discounts. And let me just say this, I mean, whether it's the Series X, the little bitty wannabe gaming PC, or the plastic taco known as the PlayStation 5, if you're a console gamer these days, you're gaming on a Ryzen box just like me. I mean, I've got my computer monolith running a Ryzen 9 7900 hippie chip. This thing has a Ryzen APU. Do you folks know how many times I've thought about building a Ryzen APU system just to see what it could do for games? You know what? Screw it. I'm never going to bother. Just play the darn console. Consoles have performance mode these days. But the graphics are gonna suck. Yeah, I'm playing on an APU, dumbass. Of course the graphics are gonna suck. It's kind of like DVD versus Blu-ray all over again, where if you really like the content, then it'll suck you in, and you'll eventually stop noticing that the quality isn't what it is on some other way of viewing the content. I guess nowadays it would be like 4K Blu-ray versus streaming or whatever. I don't know. But I don't think a lot of mainstream consumers out there really care anymore about how pokey the bitrate is in this day and age of synchronous fiber internet. But anyways, the Series X is a console that I kept an eye on for many, many years. Well, if a couple of years in the 2020s counts. Mr. Exaggeration here. So, during the pandemic shortages, all you could find in the stores was the Series S. And in my neck of the woods, and I'm guessing in lots of other places too, when the shortages finally subsided, the plastic tacos came back first, PS5 took the crown, and the series, whatever you want to call them, of Xboxes became the underdog console. And that's when I picked this sucker up. Now, interestingly enough, the Series X has slightly better hardware than the original plastic taco PS5. Not so much the PS5 Pro, but in terms of being a capable 1080 system in performance mode, this thing's actually pretty solid. And because Xbox was the underdog and becoming the underdog and falling way, way, way behind PlayStation in sales, I snagged this sucker during a Black Friday special for $300 something. Sounds like a fairy tale in today's world of inflation and tariffs, jumping this thing up to the $600 mark these days. But I snagged this thing for $300 something. That's about in line with what I paid for the Wii U last decade in the 2010s. So it was pretty cool, actually. It was pretty cool to pick this sucker up for that price. I was like, score! And then I tried to figure out what to do with it for 2 years. But nowadays, because the Xbox is the underdog console with Game Pass and whatnot. I'm finding actually that the Game Pass discounts in some cases are better than Steam sale prices. And but you're not going to get the best graphics and whatnot. Yeah, I'm playing on an APU. But if it's a game where all I care about is the content, and I run a 1080 system at home with a large 1080p TV because I only have a 40-inch. I don't have like one of those huge like 65-inch screens. Probably go 4K OLED if I had something that big. But I'm still doing 1080. I don't have to scale my operating system. I can run it native resolution where everything's the sharpest and stuff like that. So playing this, even though it does do a bunch of scaling tricks to do 4K, playing this at 1080 60 in games, this is the APU system I never had. So you get something like, say, the Tomb Raider Definitive Editions or Forza Horizon 5. It'll look better on PC, but it's serviceable on here, especially when you want to just play something without getting distracted by your email or YouTube or something like that. Also, the quick switch feature on this, when you just want to flip between a bunch of games and play a bunch of them for like a couple minutes each, like most of my driving and racing games and stuff like that. That's awesome. Heck, sports games too. The last holdout of consoles, just like they were the last holdout of pay TV. I'll put like College Football 25 in here. It'll play at 30 and 60 FPS because the Madden style games use 30 FPS to make it look like TV at some spots. But hey, I'll have like sports games going. It'll be like I'm flipping between watching games because half the time when a nerd like me plays sports games, I just play... I just put them on watch mode and make like I'm watching TV. But either way, console gaming doesn't suck anymore. I think what's floating around in a lot of people's heads is this whole idea of, well, once upon a time, consoles were a step behind PCs. So here's the thing. There's DLSS and other stuff to help with the transition from 1080 all the way up to 4K native to 4K and stuff for today's gaming. But the consoles have been scaling stuff for way longer than computers have. Computers are playing catch up on that sort of stuff. As long as the quality is serviceable and playable, most people don't give a darn. It's only the enthusiasts who want to tune every setting to death and barely get to play the game that will have like the PCs that cost as much as a car that have all the best stuff in them. But I mean, if you're still running a 1080 setup or you don't mind a little scaling, this thing will actually do the trick. And I'm sure its successor will do the trick as well if Microsoft makes one. But I think they did okay with this design, even though it's very dull. It looks like a fractal design case, which is why I named it Monolith X on my home network. It looks like a little fractal designy type thing, and it still has the disk drive too. But I've been having a ball with this thing lately. Let me just show you some games, too. When I first got this, first off, there were some games on like Xbox Live Arcade that I could only play on Xbox that I wanted to play on this thing, like the Banjo series and stuff that's now on Game Pass. I have it on Rare Replay and stuff like that. But when I first got my Xbox, it was largely because of the back catalog of the Forza Horizons, being able to play them as well as backward compatible games that were on the console side of things. And nowadays, these are basically key discs that let you install a version of the game that runs on the series consoles and in some cases looks better. Too bad these old Forza Horizon games are still stuck at 30 FPS. But what I've been finding, though, because this is the underdog console, with Game Pass and with physical media going on clearance with Amazon or Walmart or whatever, poke around the digital version of a bargain bin, and you might find something you want to play that you wouldn't care about otherwise for like $5-10. That's basically what I've been doing. And I've been learning a couple of things along the way about how widespread this is. So here's Outriders, for example. It was $5. If I like it or don't like it or whatever, screw that. It's $5. I don't care. $5 game. It's the equivalent of a Steam score. Tales of Arise on Xbox, some anime game, RPG probably. I don't know. JRPGs on Xbox is a combination I'm not used to, but $10. If I want this on Steam, I have to pay full price. So PC games are always cheaper. Sonic Superstars, $10. A little $10 or $8, $9, $10 game, blah, 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 blah. Recently got into Riders Republic on Xbox side first via a disc copy of the game that cost me a grand total of $9. I've since gotten the deluxe editions and the cross-play DLCs to have full versions on PC and Xbox. And then there's this one. This is the most interesting example. Visions of Mana game that recently came out. So, because the Xbox is the underdog console compared to PlayStation, that results in cheaper prices. Visions of Mana, Xbox, 30-something. The PlayStation equivalent of this game, 40-something. Buy it on Steam, you're paying full price. Unless there's a Square Enix publisher sale sometime soon, or you're willing... I mean, so if you want to play this game right now, but, the graphics aren't going to be as good, you're playing in performance mode. It's a freaking cartoon. What do I need the fancy graphics for? It's a cartoon. I don't care if I play it at low settings, 60 FPS. It's a cartoon. It's not like I'm playing the Oblivion remaster or something. It's not like one of those photorealistic Unreal Engine games. So, yeah, it's like... So, yeah, why would I want to play that on PC? And so, where I'm at nowadays is quite simply, I have an Xbox library. I don't mind this thing. And I don't mind this thing. And I have a PC library over on Steam. And PC is just another platform. Sometimes there's games on sale dirt cheap on Steam. Sometimes with a Game Pass discount, you can get them dirt cheap on Xbox. I've been doing a lot of Tomb Raider recently, getting into the definitive editions of the 2010s Tomb Raider games. Now, Steam will tell you that they're giving you a super awesome deal and you're saving hundreds of dollars to buy the definitive edition Tomb Raider trilogy for $50. On Xbox, if you don't mind playing it on a Ryzen APU system, essentially, $12. $12 for all 3 games. Play them in performance mode. Maybe sit back a little further from the TV. But how good are the graphics going? How good are the graphics going to be if you're playing the early 2010s Tomb Raider game? It's not going to look like the Oblivion remaster. Even if you can max everything out like I can on Monolith, what difference does it make? Most of the reason why I bought the games on both platforms is to do a giant comparison of Xbox versus PC on, titles that have had some time to churn and get really tuned up. So I have it on both platforms. I have Riders Republic on both platforms. I have the Crew Motorfest on both platforms. And, of course, the Forza Horizon 4 and 5 games were double purchase, so Xbox Play Anywhere. So I have those on both platforms. And that's one of the cool things about a Game Pass membership is that you can just dump it on your Xbox and not have to worry about consoles and stuff. How about or on PC stuff? Also, don't forget the old monster of PC gaming, DRM, De Novo, anti-tamper, or whatever it is. De Novo is the successor to Securom. Depending on how much punch you have in the CPU department, you may have degraded performance from the DRM. Until the DRM Liberation patch comes out, if the publisher makes one. DRM. Bleh. So you have that going on. You have other stuff going on as well. But I mean, let's think about some of the criticisms of console gaming. First of all, you pay for online. I think Xbox Game Pass has blown that wide open. Game Pass Ultimate, you get PC for $12 and you get cheapo smaller versions of games on Xbox whenever they go on sale on Xbox. You get that like $8 a month, gives you like a discount on, like stuff like what I bought with Tomb Raider. So you get all of that, and it's not just paying for online anymore. You're paying into a collection of games, just like with Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever, or something like that. You pay into having access to a media collection. So a media collection plus discounts on games you want to purchase for real, so to speak, which I've been making great use of. And Xbox is, of course, the underdog console. So whether a online digital sale through Game Pass discounts or clearance type stuff on Amazon, you might end up with the less expensive version of the game that you can play in performance mode at 1080 60 on these things. So let's think of some of the criticisms. I mean, for the longest time with console gaming, the consoles really were a generation behind, or a step behind their PC counterparts. So let's go back to the 360 and the PS3. They were 720p consoles at a time when PC gamers like myself were plowing ahead into 1080p. Back when HD TVs first started showing up and we had baby HD at 720p versus full HD at 1080. Nowadays you have 1080 and 4K, and of course gaming monitors have resolutions in the middle. But if you're talking a nice big screen to make everything nice and big, you have 1080 and 4K. You get in the door at 1080 and begin the climb towards 4K native. This thing, it gets you in the door. So does any decent gaming PC. But this thing, you just turn it on and you're there. So, but you pay for online. That argument's still around. I think Game Pass put a tag in the toe of the corpse of that old argument, because there is a lot of value-added stuff on that membership nowadays. It's not like the battle days of Xbox Live Gold, where you really did pay for online with some rinky-dink arcade games or something on the side. So I think Game Pass is way more of a good value proposition than Xbox Live ever was, and PlayStation's even Nintendo's following suit with their retro collection. But I think they should do like original software on the Switch that you gain access to, similar to Game Pass or something like that. If they want to, well, Nintendo's a bunch of boomers. Who knows what's going to happen with them? But yeah, so that's out the door. Let's talk about performance in the 2000s. The 360 and the PS3 were 720p consoles. In the 2010s, the Xbox One and the PS4 were laughably bad. You'd think that a generation of hardware would take us from 720p consoles to 1080p consoles, but it didn't happen. A lot of times, especially on the Xbox One side, stuff was scaled up from like 900p or something. It couldn't even, the hardware just didn't move far enough forward. They were still using clunky mechanical hard drives. And in the case of the Xbox, sometimes Xboxes were banned off of Xbox Live for unauthorized modifications if you tried to upgrade your Xbox to a solid state drive. I read the horror stories, but anyways, in the 2010s, we had that problem, and now in the 2020s, I was like, hey, these consoles sound like they got some punch to them, and they did. The PS5, cool. This thing, cool. Series S, doorstop. But it got your foot in the door at least, and during the pandemic shortages, it was the only thing that you could get. Now I think the biggest issue with the consoles is that we're trying to figure out the cadence for these boxes and when to advance them. I mean, this is a early 2020s, essentially, equivalent of an APU system, highly optimized from the early 2020s. 16 gigs of RAM versus the 64 on my main computer, and Ryzen APU versus the 4060 Ti I have. The graphics, the integrated graphics on this are the equivalent of a 3060 Ti, so I'm already ahead of that on the PC side of things. So, but it's a very beefy, customized APU. This is the APU system that I've always wanted. And I'm like, you know what? I just want to keep it simple. Let's just play it on the APU. If I would have played games on something like the Delosaurus, I could play something on this. Oh, and yeah, I am saying that this Xbox is basically serving the role of a Delosaurus. So, yeah, PC gaming is still cool and whatnot, but I'm not going to thumb my nose at console gamers. Whether you have one of these, or whether you have a plastic taco, or whether you have money to burn and you have both, who cares? You know, it's not like I'm in some walled garden myself. I share controllers with both systems. You know, an Xbox on PC, that's obviously the default PC controller is going to be X input, but more and more games are coming over with native PlayStation controller support on PC. So I'm sharing controllers with the PS5 crowd as well. And I like the DualSense. Sometimes the the special triggers aren't programmed very well and they're a pain in the ass as opposed to adding to the realism, but so were the Wii motion controls back in the 2000s. Like, come on, you know. Now, I share controllers with both consoles, and my Steam library essentially contains stuff from both consoles. So, I mean, it's really a matter of what you have to play things on. But yeah, no, console gaming doesn't suck anymore. The consoles can finally do 1080-60, even if you have an OG PlayStation 5 plastic taco. It's just, PlayStation is like the last great console because it's the most successful console brand of all time. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, kind of blah for PlayStation 3, made a comeback with PS4. They were the first back on the shelves in my area, and obviously lots of other areas after the pandemic shortages with PS5. So, I mean, yes, they're going to charge more because they're the industry leaders in this sector. But that's not to say that the underdog is really all that far behind. So, put some Game Pass on this. Find some deals, and if you're someone that like plays cheap games like I do because you're perennially years behind on video games because you spent a couple of years in college and many more years playing MMOs and still play MMOs, you can pick up the bargains for this, and sometimes the bargains for Xbox will actually be better than the bargains for PC or PlayStation. It's crazy. But however you enjoy your games, enjoy them. Let's talk repairs before we call it with this video, because one of the talking points of PC gamers like myself is that you repair your own systems. Yeah, you could learn how to repair a disk drive or something in a console, and this thing is nice and square, so you could probably figure it out pretty easily, or send it off to Microsoft for repairs or whatever and get it back. But the thing is, though, I mean, these things go for a couple hundo. Guess what also goes for a couple $100 if it blows out and you have to replace it? Graphics cards, if not more. So what exactly are you gaining here as a PC gamer? You can fix your own systems, yeah, or you can go to Walmart and buy another Xbox for a couple $100 and just drive home, put your account info on it, download whatever game you wanted to play and get going again while the other one goes out for service. I mean, really, it's cool to build your own stuff and design your own stuff, but now that consoles can do 1080-60, I really think they're a good baseline for a gaming experience in general. Don't bother with a console killer PC. Just play something like this. And yeah, you'll get a library on the console side. Whoop-de-doo. You know, it's not like that's unheard of before in gaming. Well, I could have all my games and I want to have them all on PC. Catch a Steam sale and buy duplicates. Who cares? Not like you can't get some game years later for like 75% off, 85% off, 95% off, or even free, like I did with BioShock, having finally gotten it as a freebie on Xbox after all these years. Oh no, I have it on PC. Yeah, was it PC? One of the PC thingies gave it away for free. The first BioShock games. I can finally see what the hoopla was about 20 years ago. But no, folks. Console gaming doesn't suck. PC gaming is just more and more of a money trap these days than ever before. And now that consoles can do performance mode, this is your baseline. Don't even bother with PC gaming unless you are willing to take the plunge into hardware that goes way beyond what these things can do and then buy upgrades afterwards. Because I can tell you, the value proposition for PC gaming is extremely slim these days now that the consoles can handle a mainstream resolution like 1080p at 60 frames per second. Now, I'm sure there's people whose whack job opinions only exist on the internet. They're going to try and tell me off in the comments. You know what? Seen it all before. The truth is, the world changes. Gaming changes with it. Now, are you going to go along with the way the world is changing, or are you going to be left behind? As far as I'm concerned, this is my baseline gaming experience. And I've been a PC gamer for a quarter century, but I grew up with Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari, and Nintendo 64. I've spent plenty of years as a console gamer. I wasn't about to write it off just because some people on the internet fishing for clicks said so. Console peasants. Well, no, the 2020s consoles are a good baseline experience versus last decade. It's time to throw that out the door. Anyways, we'll do more videos for more points and counterpoints, but it's great to finally do a second one of these darn things. MultimediaJay out. I gotta hook my Xbox back up.
Let's just relax and play some games.